Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I have Dr. Guy today. Dr. Guy is a very interesting gut and hormone doctor, and he also specializes in regenerative medicine. He lived in LA and seen a lot of patients, and especially in anti-aging, weight loss, and now even peptides. He's taken on a lot of different roles, very experienced, and seen tremendous amounts of cases in different aspects, and has a unique point of view in many different ways from other podcasters that I've had. Guests. Without further ado, Dr. Guy, let's dive in. And again, if you like the episode, please rate us on the platform that you're listening to. It really helps the podcast grow. Thank you.
Dr. Guy, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Obviously, first question I'm going to ask you is, what's the difference between conventional and holistic? Because you pitch integrative. So it's a combination of those two. I think people get integrative, holistic, functional, all mixed into one.
Totally.
So I think it'd be best to start, let's unpack what those actually mean and then how you approach medicine.
Yeah. Probably the best way to answer it is like my journey into it, I think might make more sense of it is I started as a chiropractor. And then I moved into acupuncture, and then I found naturopathic medicine, which was really like what I found was like the culmination of for me personally, like the culmination of everything.
Yeah.
It was like the umbrella for all the things that I wanted to practice. So holistic medicine typically just means looking, technically holistically at the body, meaning looking at all the organ systems and not pigeonhole into one system. Instead of specialist, it's kind of a generalist, but using holistic modalities, things like acupuncture, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Western herbology, herbalism, nutrition, things to support the body in a natural way. And then integrative medicine was the correlation between holistic medicine and in conventional medicine. Conventional medicine is obviously just allopathic, meaning pharmacology mainly is the pharmacology in surgery, right? With diagnostic imaging and testing for analysis in disease states.
Yeah.
So integrative medicine is that correlation between holistic and conventional. And then to me, integrative and functional medicine kind of play hand in hand. Yeah. So actually on my business card, it says integrative, functional, naturopathic.
You just like nailed the keyword. They're going to resonate.
Well, I was like, they all mean kind of this. To me, I'm like, you could get a little bit nuanced. A lot of naturopathic doctors hate the term functional medicine. Same thing, functional medicine, because functional medicine was born mainly for medical doctors, allopathic doctors, trying to figure out the functionality of the body.
Right.
Whereas naturopathic medicine was that correlation from the beginning. And so there's a little bit of people who fight about it, but ultimately for me, it's the true combination between conventional, knowing when to apply pharmacy, and knowing when to apply herbs and supplements and nutrition.
Yeah.
And that integration piece is what makes the medicine, to me, very powerful.
Gotcha. Talking on the point a little bit more, people fight about the names. Don't call me this, don't call me that. Do you feel like that just stems from they built an identity around one way of being called, and now it's an ego play? Like, I'm not that, I'm different. Or do you feel like it's certifications start telling people that this is what you are versus that? Or
I think it's probably more certifications, because functional medicine has its own certification process,
right? Which
is typically medical doctors who will follow weekend courses in functional medicine for a year or 2 years, and it's modalities around functionality.
Yeah.
Whereas naturopathic medicine that's 4 years of of education. It's not built into weekend courses, but it's around the same training with pharmacology and conventional medicine. So, it's a bit of certification. It's whose pride is on the line. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter as long as like somebody understands physiology, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then they're a good doctor.
That makes sense.
A good practitioner. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Now that we've unpacked that, you come from Beverly Hills, which I think is like top 0.01% place on earth in terms of people who have expenditure, not only expenditure that they can use, but they use it on themselves, want to look good, want to be healthy, etc. Being in that microcosm, do you feel like when you travel, you see massive differences in psychology around people's health from where you come from versus outside of that?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I picked Beverly Hills is because Beverly Hills is the epicenter for location of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So it's the central meeting point, right?
Yes.
And so I can kind of attract not just Beverly Hills, but all the surrounding neighborhoods, right?
Of course, yeah.
So for me, like if you look at my distribution map of patients, it's actually all of Los Angeles.
Amazing.
Because if I was just on the west side, for instance, I'm kind of trapped to that.
Yeah.
So Beverly Hills like is a focal point geographically. And then also, unfortunately, the medicine's expensive, right? It's not just my consult time, but supplements are expensive, lab testing are expensive, functional tests are expensive.
Right.
So I'm always limited in how far I can go with somebody based on their budget. Unfortunately, that is the world that I've very much come to understand.
Yeah.
So it's not that I need, tens of thousands of dollars per patient, but they need to have a little bit of disposable income just to be able to afford the costs of the things that I want to provide for them, because insurance is not in our model of care.
Right.
Insurance doesn't cover naturopathic or integrative medicine.
Yeah.
So I'm not able to tap into an insurance model, and so they have to come out of pocket. And so just the lab testing alone, can be a little bit expensive. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a little bit ironic today. I think in the modern day, I have friends that are paying $2,500 a month for health insurance.
Yeah.
Or like 500. Let's just even call it $500-600 a month at the lower end nowadays.
Yeah.
And they're telling me their deductible is $10,000 a year. So they're like, I don't spend over. Basically, I don't ever spend, like, go to dentist, labs, supplements, whatever I do is probably not over $10K. So they're kind of feeling like, what am I paying for, right? What's your opinion on where that market has gone, and has that really increased your business because people are saying, hey, look, I'm really not getting what I need out of this, and I'm paying extraordinary amounts of money for it.
Yeah. So this is what I kind of try to tell patients. One, typically the first visit's the most expensive because that's the biggest diagnostic visit.
Sure.
I got to understand the patient. I got to spend the most time with them. I got to run the labs. We don't do packages or programs because I believe you come to see me when you need my help. So I don't try to tie people in on the sales platform. I just say, this is the baseline things that you need. This is the cost it's going to be. From an insurance perspective, they don't cover that. So what I tell patients is, in my opinion, the medical model is deteriorating rapidly. I think there's a lot of people, I think doctors are very unhappy with it. I think a lot of people are regulating the industry that probably shouldn't be. And therefore, insurance rates are coming up. Pharmacy and the FDA and other big, players in the field are dictating quality of care. And so they're telling doctors, you have 8 to 10 minutes for primary care follow-up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy, first of all. And that's not the doctor's fault. That's the system telling the doctor, you have this much time with this person. Well, okay, but this person's really complex. I might need half an hour or 45 minutes. I don't have the leeway anymore to dictate that in an insurance model.
Yeah.
So insurance is now dictating care. It's dictating to the doctors what they will and will not cover. You have to ask permission for the insurance if you're in the system, whether you can run the appropriate labs. So like, for instance, we do a huge comprehensive blood analysis. For me, it's incredibly important. There's 6 pages of just conventional labs that come back, but it indicates all parts of the body: cardiovascular, thyroid, endocrine, sex hormones, across the board. It tells me the whole map of the body as much as I can get. And I asked a conventional doctor, would you run this? And she goes, no, insurance wouldn't cover it. And I'm then responsible for it.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, well, isn't that your job? To be responsible for your patient's care?
Yeah.
So for me, from my perspective, the insurance model is really badly designed, and it's being implicated by various factors outside of its control. So costs keep going up. Insurance, it seems like a bit of a death spiral, for a lot of people. And then everybody's kind of suffering, right? Doctors are suffering, patients are suffering, quality of care is suffering.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, listen, it's your health. What's more important, that you utilize your insurance, or you just get in with a good practitioner who's going to be able to really help you reverse chronic disease? And that should be the only thing that you spend your money on until you're doing amazing. And then And then, maintenance. And then to me, I mean, health is wealth.
Yeah.
So spend your money where it's most, pinnacle for the quality of your life.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation because you were saying labs are expensive, biosensors are expensive, supplements are expensive. But when you like really zoom out, it's like, okay, even if this cost 10 grand, 20 grand, if you don't exist tomorrow, would you pay 20K to exist tomorrow?
Exactly.
And the answer is everybody on earth is like, I'll come up with the money, right? I'll go get a mortgage to pay that. But it's the pain isn't real today until it is.
Right.
And sometimes it can be reversed. Sometimes it can be improved. And other times it's unfortunately, there's nothing to do left. Right. And I'm a big proponent of there's always something to do. So keep trying.
Yeah.
But even at in some cases, the best effort and the most amount of tries, it was just too late, right? But
if you wait too long for it, right?
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of functional medicine. Until a certain point, it's incredible at reversing conditions around.
Right.
But if you wait too late, then now you need medication. You're in the conventional care system, and your health is going to probably deteriorate because the conventional system is not geared to reversing conditions.
Yeah.
They're geared at either maintaining or suppressing symptoms, but not at reversing conditions and optimizing body health.
Yeah.
So
I'd love for you to dive in a little more on the costs are going up. Everyone's frustrated with the system. What specifics can you kind of loop back to that have made it that way? Like, why are the costs constantly going up? Why is everyone unhappy, and why are they kind of handcuffed to the system?
I'm probably not the best to ask because I'm not in the insurance world.
Yeah.
And I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a naturopathic doctor. So I haven't been in the insurance game for 20 years, but I know a lot of people took advantage of it in the 80s. Humans really took advantage of it. Doctors really overbilled. Insurance was really, from my understanding, much more lax and would supply everything. And then things just got more greedy, more stringent. And then pharmacology really started increasing their R&D budget. So they started charging a lot more. So now your insurance to cover your meds is higher.
Yeah.
Everything's more expensive in the hospital. And so our quality of care systemically is going down because of time and money and effort.
It's a good point. I think maybe one case everybody knows and can reference to is OxyContin, right?
Yeah.
How much they would just incentivize, just give higher dosage, gives X amount more payouts. And so then doctors were like incentivized to give higher dosages, get more addicted.
Exactly.
There's been a huge lawsuit now. And I don't actually know the final result because it was all over, I think it was $2 billion in fines or whatever. But yeah, to your point, it was really being pushed.
Yeah.
And the prices were absurd. But maybe that's a good proxy. Outside of insurance, you've obviously been in an area where it's cash pay and cash based. How has that industry for the last 20 years evolved as you've been in it? When you first started, what did it look like? 10 years ago, what did it look like? And now, what does it look like?
So, it's interesting. Functional medicine has really taken up massively over the last, I would say 5 years has been an explosion.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate, but I have to be honest, when patients come in to see me, I'm finding they're completely dysregulated, even if they've seen all the conventional specialists. So many patients come to me, their gut's not optimized, their hormones are not optimized, they're chronically fatigued, their brain mental clarity is low, they're overweight, nobody's dialed in their nutrition or their lifestyle or their mental health, they're super stressed out, and they're slowly kind of crumbling. And even though they've seen all the doctors, this medical system is based on diagnosing disease. They're not in a disease state yet. They just feel really poorly.
Yeah.
So the majority of people who come to see me, they just don't feel well with a wide array of symptoms, from like anything from headaches, nausea, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, heartburn, all of that. And it's just, they're sluggish, they're weak, they're stressed out, and nobody's kind of or they're depressed or they're anxious, and there's a whole mental health component to all of this. And they're so poorly managed. You know, people are just not really doing a deep dive in their physiology. They're not really looking under the microscope. And so they're tired of the system because they're not getting answers.
Yeah.
You know, so patients are coming to me and they're like, listen, I've been to 7 doctors. You're my last doctor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to do after you.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure on me, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure on,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But it's all the time. I mean, it's 5 times a day minimum.
That's crazy.
You know?
5 times a day, you have a patient say that to you.
I probably see about 4 new patients every day.
Yeah.
I try to work really effectively so that patients are not in my office a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so 3 to 4 visits is the usual until they're feeling amazing, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
It's an advent to the medicine, really, of like, and my training, which has been incredible, and very lucky. So I'm able to, you know, apply some powerful tools for patients, and it's almost immediate that they feel a benefit. But then, I hear I'm consistently managed. Like, what's wrong with me? I don't feel good. I've been to so many. I'm never the first stop ever.
Yeah,
because nobody wants to pay. You know,
Gotcha.
if they can get insurance,
they're
to cover
trying to get.
it.
They're trying to get.
Unless people are so tied into functional or naturopathic medicine, most patients have tried their conventional approach. They're not getting the answers they want. They come to me. So I'm their last or very far down the line of options.
Yeah.
And then so that's a lot of responsibility, but also it's incredible because I typically can help a lot of people feel better.
Yeah.
So
there's something interesting you said that functional medicine has exploded, but people are saying they see 5 or 6 doctors before they see you. Are they also seeing other functional medicine doctors that don't get them results? Or is it mostly traditional and then they come to you?
I see both. I definitely have a lot of patients who have seen other doctors and they didn't get the results they wanted and they come to me. And so, but probably 90% of the time they've just seen their conventional doctors. They're not getting the answers they want and then they come to me.
Yeah.
You know?
And have you seen the want for your specific services in the last 5 years also explode with the industry? Or do you feel like you've always been able to get results and it's been steady?
I definitely am improving with time.
Yeah.
Right? Practice makes perfect.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
I'm much better than when I started, a decade ago. Right. Like much better. I'm much more dialed in as a practitioner. I'm also seeing much more complex cases now than I did when I first started.
Interesting.
I'm seeing really, really tough cases. So, I don't know. I don't know if people are getting more sick or they're finding me now that they're more, I don't know if it's my name that's getting out there that's supporting the cause, but to me, it's exploding as a profession because of how I think people are feeling a little bit more ill, at least from what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, do you, from 20 years ago to now, do you feel like the average patient has more things wrong with them? Or different things, maybe.
I really could speak for probably about 10 years. 20 years I was doing holistic medicine, but I wasn't licensed as a doctor. So I was doing all sorts of weird stuff and learning different.
The original biohacker.
Yeah, really weird. Like I was trying everything. And then I was like, I can't be a charlatan anymore. I need an actual medical. I need a medical license. And I need to be able to prescribe pharmacology. So, that took a long time, but the last 10 years, I definitely see a difference in patient care. Yeah, I definitely.
It's been getting worse. Or
in my opinion, I think, again, it's so hard to say because I'm not in 12 places at the same time.
Sure.
So but to me, yes, I think patients, it doesn't seem like people are on the right path. It's not like patients are coming in and they're like, I'm super healthy. Can you help me tweak these things?
Yeah.
I'm mostly seeing people like, I'm literally falling apart.
Yeah.
Can you help me?
And 10 years ago, were they saying those same things or different?
I don't think it was as bad.
Yeah.
And I don't think it took so many things needed to correct.
To get there, yeah.
People need a lot more support.
Yeah.
People need a lot of support now. There's a lot of, but I'm also maybe more nuanced to be like, these are all the aspects that are not working.
Yeah.
Fix these things, you'll feel incredible.
Yeah. When you say they need more support, do you mean that because there's multiple things you have to tackle, now it's like there's multiple things and multiple protocols we have to go through and visits versus before it was maybe one or two things that you had to tackle and therefore it was easier to manage for them? Or is it basically like they're just completely lost now and they don't know what to do and just need hand-holding completely?
I would say, so my specialty really is I do gut hormones and regenerative medicine. Those are my three specialties. The reason I do that, and it was funny because we were in school, people are like, well, what's your passion? What do you want to really participate in? For me, I'm like, my passion is helping patients get better. I don't have like a modality that I'm super interested in, right? And it's interesting
I want to work
school.
on.
I want to help people get. That's why they're coming to see. I'm here for the human experience. You're coming to me as somebody who's sick or not feeling well.
Yeah.
My job is to get you better, not specifying so closely on something. And then, so I really appreciate holistic medicine as a concept, like the full body medicine, right?
Yeah.
All the organ systems combined. That's the best way I can find of it being effective. And the reason I specialized in gut and hormones is because I find that 90% of symptoms are caused by gut or hormone deficiencies.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you repair what is called the microbial endocrine system, the coordination between the microbes and the endocrine system, the glands, again, 90% of your symptoms go away.
Yeah.
So optimizing gut, which includes nutrition and exercise, and then optimizing the functionality of your microbiome and probiotic support, prebiotic support, digestive, endotoxemia, all that stuff, and then correlating it to optimal hormone levels. People, that's a big shift in their health.
Yeah.
And just them feeling great.
What makes it those two things the key versus anything? Like, why are those two things such a pillar versus anything else? Because you could already, like, the reason I bring this up, just for more context, nowadays you have microplastics in your body, you have Lyme disease is now becoming super popular. Like, there's all these things that have booms and busts, right? Like, now everything is Lyme, apparently, like everyone has. So it's like, why over the last 10 years, you've really found those two areas of the body to be the most disrupted? And are all these other things just kind of disrupting those two systems, or is there more to it?
I think when you have massive environmental exposure issues, that supersedes gut and hormones.
Okay.
You need to fix those things first.
Yeah.
So if there's Lyme's, major nervous system issues, things like Parkinson's, MS, ALS, right? Like if you have some big, or incredible mold toxicity or Lyme, right? Like these things will completely wreck the body.
Yeah.
Right? So those do need to be addressed first.
Yeah.
But for a general population, they're still in the minority of things that people experience.
Yeah.
So yes, for those specific patients who are undergoing that, 100% you need to fix those things. And then, and probably in conjunction, look at gut and hormones. But for majority of people, they don't have that stuff. They're not, they're not suffering with major nervous system disorders or major environmental toxicity issues. They have low-grade toxicity issues. Everybody, right? So glyphosates, Roundup, environmental toxins, plastics, all that stuff. But the optimization of your gut is how you eliminate those things.
Yes.
So you have to work on gut health, because they say microbiome controls about 50% of all your physiology, from your brain to your nervous system, to nutrition, right? So how do you get the vitamins and minerals you need? The bacteria make vitamins by themselves. They create their own levels of antibiotics. I mean, the microbiome is so fascinating so I just think, if you look at immunity, immune inflammation, you look at totality, all of that's relatively regulated by the GI, by the gut. Then you take hormones, which are the way that you feel good, your vitality hormones. If those are really low or really high, it's going to wreak havoc on the nervous system and the brain. So that's why I find if you regulate those systems, everything starts to calm down.
Gotcha.
Inflammation calms down. Digestive symptoms calm down. You start feeling better, start digesting your foods. You get the nutrients that you need, and you start optimizing your.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Let's dive into more controversial topics. We've been on this train, so we might as well keep going.
Okay.
peptides, HRT, human growth hormone,
Yes.
all the next gen,
Yes.
some call that the next vitamin, some call that it's the next version of how we're going to live potentially longer and even healthier than we are now. I think your clinic, from what I understand, has integration into all of those things that I talked about.
Mhm.
How do you view them? In what way do you use them? And do you feel like they are the future?
I love peptides. If you Google peptide Los Angeles, my name pops up. One of the first ones.
Yeah. I did do that before. So
Yeah.
I kind of laid you up there.
Okay, yeah. So I'm a big proponent of peptides. The FDA just released. They took a bunch off the market.
They did, yeah.
And then a few days ago, they just said they're fine, they're safe. A bunch that they deemed were unsafe now are safe.
Yeah.
So there was a lawsuit. There's no literature to indicate that they're actually unsafe. The FDA just said we can't determine the safety, so they're illegal.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm like, well, isn't that your job to determine before you make something legal or illegal?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you determine whether it's safe or not and then make, it's not like there was a million claims of people who were getting super sick from these things. So why just blanket, right? So for me, I was like, whoa, this is a massive impact because for what I see, peptides are incredible across the board. So for those who don't know what peptides are, they're amino acid chains that are specific to the body. So every single different type of peptide, there's over 3,000 peptides. We only use, a few dozen in practice that we know are super safe, but there's technically over a few thousand combinations of peptides. And every single one of them does something specific. So for instance, like copper grows hair, skin, and nails more optimally. Thymosin alpha will start regenerating your thymus gland to making more white blood cells and natural killer cells. There's one called BPC, which is called body protective compound, helps heal all inflammation.
Yeah.
So I use them when I find that the body's not producing those substances anymore because they're all naturally occurring anyway.
Yeah.
So I love them. Yeah, I think they're incredible. I would have a hard time treating patients without them, to be super honest with you. I find, my patients love them. They feel really good, but they are expensive. Peptides are probably the most expensive therapy I have.
I love this because I think there's been so much controversy around it. And I do want to bring in, I know what people are thinking right now, and they're going to put it in the comments. How do we know peptides are safe? They're new. Nobody has studied this over decades. For maybe the best proxy here is creatine has been studied since like 1930 or something, right? Like anybody that's like, is creatine safe? Or like, well, we at least have 100 years showing that supplement, nothing's really happened if you're taking it. And in fact, you can see some of the upside, especially if you're not eating meat or things that have creatine. With peptides, I think the argument is, you guys are saying it's safe, it's all in the market, but we don't have like decades of data to prove that is actually the point, right? And then the kind of underlying argument behind that is, why are you, especially if you're integrative medicine, if you're deficient in creating these things from your body, aren't we supposed to root cause, understand why, and then make you efficient again? So what would be your explanation around that argument?
So all great questions. First of all, the safety. There are international peptide science organizations that do study the safety of these things.
Yeah.
Germany is a big proponent of safety measuring for peptides.
Yeah.
Germany's had peptides on the market since the 80s. So there is about 30 to 40 years of research. So that's a bit of a misconception. They've been on the market for a long time. There are thousands and thousands and thousands, probably tens to maybe 100,000 people who have been on them at this point. The adversity would have come back by now. If you look at anything that's been put into the marketplace over decades, you would see correlated information coming back dictating the fact that these are unsafe.
Yeah.
There is no doctor I know that is using them and finding responses that are negative.
Gotcha.
Sometimes they're proteins, so the only thing that can happen is you can have an allergic reaction to them. Right. But just because it's a protein, it's the same as concept of having any protein. Proteins are the only thing that causes allergies.
Yeah.
So when we put a protein in, our body can consider it foreign. It can attack it.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've seen adverse responses to these peptides.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of research into the safety of them because I wouldn't give anything to my patients that I'm not really comfortable.
Yeah.
I take them myself if that's a big, like I'm on 5 different peptides.
Yeah.
You know, I love them. I looked at the literature. I looked at the safety studies.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that. They're all natural. It's just proteins.
Yeah.
You're just injecting amino acids. They're not synthetics. We're just injecting amino acids that we know have biological function. Now, as to why that they decrease in time potentially is what I think happens in general. It's the same concept of why would I give you a nutrient? Shouldn't your body make that nutrient from the environment or take it? Yes, theoretically, in a perfect world, if I took you and I moved you to Costa Rica and I made you not work anymore and you weren't breathing in fumes every day and you weren't eating glyphosate and Roundup and plastic exposure and you were swimming in the ocean and hiking 3 hours a day and sleeping 10 hours a night, yeah, you don't need these things. Right. But like everything else, I have to, my approach to medicine is what is the body lacking?
Yeah.
How do I replenish that thing? And how do I get you the results that I feel would be needed for you to be optimized in your life? And that is, unfortunately, you have to take things now for that.
Yes.
So anything you take is in that same concept. So peptides it's not a different concept of giving any medications or any supplements. It's the same concept. Your body's deficient in this thing. Let's reintroduce it, see how the body feels. And do you feel incredible? And if you don't feel incredible, it's not the right thing for you.
Yeah.
Then there's something else that's going to make you feel incredible.
So a couple really interesting strings to pull on there. I know this is some people will be thinking this. How can something be all natural when we're using a needle to inject it into us? It had to have been created somewhere else outside of my body, and therefore I wouldn't consider that natural. How do you define that it's I think the answer here is all natural just means something your body already utilizes in that form. But what does the extraction process or creation process look like to get those peptides to then put into your body?
So thank you for bringing that up. When I say synthetic, I mean something that was a molecule that was invented for a reaction like a drug.
Right.
So when you take a drug, they realize that there's a molecule that can affect the biochemistry of the body in a specific manner, and they're altering the mechanism of the body through that drug.
Right.
Peptides are when they look at what signal is sent from point A to point B, and what is that message and how is that translation being associated? So let's say, how does hair grow, right? If you just look at how hair grows, there's an amino acid that's sent from wherever in the body, the gut typically, to the brain, sends it to the hair follicle and tells the to the hair follicle, please grow. And they looked at what that message looks like, and that's a chain of amino acids called a peptide.
Yep.
And it's and then that has physiological functionality. So yes, synthetic meaning they do take these amino acids, they're proteins, and they line them in chains in a lab synthetically. That is a synthetic process because they're not naturally derived from a plant, but they're mimicking the natural process of our body. So I don't really consider that synthetic. I consider synthetics more like molecules that have been reorganized.
Yeah.
And then we're changing the physiology of the body. So I'm not a big fan of changing anything in the body.
Right.
I'm just supporting the body's mechanisms or adding to deficiencies of body mechanisms.
Yeah.
So anything to do with translation, enhancement, anything that the body's naturally using, it's like giving B6. I don't really care that B6 is synthesized in a lab if it's identically molecularly similar to B6 from your orange.
Yeah, right.
So to me, yes, if I had to get super ingrained, I would love everything organic.
Right.
But I live in a practical world where like that's a little,
Well, I also think this gets taken a little bit too far where, like you said, we have modern day problems which need modern day solutions. It's the essence of humanity, right? Like when we were stone men or stone women or whatever, we used to eat raw meat and die from bacteria, and then somebody started cooking it and our population exploded. I'm like very much paraphrasing how the world became, right?
Okay.
So I'm just giving like a very, like somebody can follow that train thought. But now we have skyscrapers. Me and you are at an event where we live in different areas. Like all of these things are modern day inventions. And so we're very innovative as humans, and we're by nature, positive thinking or innovative, because like people go, there's so much bad in the world, and then what like we're destroying it. And I'm like, yeah, but we've also created a lot of good, right? And so we're naturally optimistic, and we wouldn't have 40-foot buildings if we weren't, we wouldn't be on Mars right now, which is what Elon Musk is doing, if we weren't naturally that way. And it's, as soon as you create something new, other things can start to break or variables change. And I think that gets sometimes missed. So I appreciate you saying, look, if you want to have cocktails in Beverly Hills, and overlook the ocean and watch TV and whatever you're doing, right? Like that's a modern day living way.
Or just sitting 10 hours and driving your car.
Yeah, if you're doing that,
just basics,
right? And like driving into LA and you got smog basically just covering you. We gotta solve that, right? And these are some of the ways we can do it. So I just wanted to say that was a great point, because it just gets missed, right? Like if you want to live in the woods, by all means, but nobody wants to. And the argument sometimes made is like, oh, farmers in wherever don't care about anything, they're happy with their lives. And then I usually say, bring them to New York for a week and then put them back on the farm. And human nature is, I really like that restaurant in New York, or that Broadway show was awesome, right? I'd love to go back. And so now something different. And I think the cat's out of the bag, as the saying goes, with, if you want to enjoy these things, then we got to solve other ways of going after the problem. Right.
And people have like dogma or specific beliefs around the concepts of natural versus synthetic versus, and to
That's
me,
why I was asking you.
To me, I'm always like, listen, like, yes, in a utopian world where everything is an ideal, you're not wrong.
Right.
It's just, is it worth that fight for your health?
Yeah.
Is it really like toxic?
Right.
If you're looking at toxicity across the board, where's your focus going? Into the things that are synthesized in a lab versus natural, or the 1,000 other exposures that you're getting? Where should your attention be focused?
Yeah.
If you just touch receipts, you're getting plastics.
Right.
So that should be more of a focus than you getting a synthesized vitamin, in my opinion.
Right.
Because at least that vitamin's helping you.
Yeah.
It's not a toxicity point. It's not an ideal, maybe. But yeah, there's a lot of idealism in this world of like what things should be and how they need to be.
Totally.
And this perfection model, right? And it's like, okay, look, we have to be practical too.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, just what are we deficient in and how do we support our bodies?
Yeah.
And let's get out of this like religious like dogma opinion about what's 100% right and 100% wrong. And just stop fighting with each other about it all, right? And just support each other. Like we're all trying to just live a good life.
Right. And I think it's a great point, because most things are like a sliding scale of to what degree is something, right? Like us, like I flew here, which means I was in a box 20,000 feet in the air going over 2 continents, right? So it's like, is that natural? Obviously, you could like, is that natural? Right? It's like, obviously not.
Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly
so it's like,
my
how do you
point.
even define that?
Right. So where's your focus, right? Ultimately, where's your focus? Is it into the 20,000 things that I'm doing throughout my life that are really destructive?
Right.
Or to the things that are close to maybe helpful, but not ideal?
Yeah.
So where's your focus?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. No, great points. One more thing I want to dive into before we wrap up. You obviously have a successful practice. You've helped a lot of people. Is there just a couple things or takeaways you can give the audience on what's been really working consistently across every patient? Like, is there, obviously, I know, and we've touched upon this, like everyone's body is different. You might have different deficiencies, but is there like core things that now you see are working really well or resonating at least?
I would say the one thing that I consistently do in my practice is support the upper GI. I find that to be very problematic in most people.
Yeah.
So that's the pancreas, the gallbladder, and the stomach. They typically are not functioning optimally. And so then what happens is you're not digesting your foods properly.
Yeah.
And then havoc is going on into your lower GI.
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, most GI doctors are not really looking at functionality of those organs. They're just looking to see, does this person have SIBO or colitis? And that's pretty much it. You know, I mean, there are a bunch of other diseases. I don't mean to limit it to that for conventional doctors, but they're looking at kind of disease states. But before those disease states are functionality issues. So I always tell people, like, you need to make sure your digestive system is optimally digesting first and foremost. And I think it's just not being discussed, in my opinion, between conventional doctors and their patients. And then still in the whole world of functional medicine, people are still focusing on, well, how's my probiotic organisms or my flora or my microbiome? And it's like, yes, all of that is super important, but the upper spectrum of that is, how's your digesting of your foods?
Yeah.
More important is, how are you digesting your foods? Are you absolutely processing your proteins, your fats, and your starches and lipids, or are you not breaking them down? And in my opinion, most people now don't break them down properly, and it's kind of wreaking havoc in the internal GI. So, yeah. So to take away digestive enzymes.
Perfect. Awesome.
I think a lot of people should, I mean, go easy. And I always say, like, it's your body, work with a professional.
Yeah.
You know, people are always trying to find stuff online. I'm like, work with a professional. Get somebody to help you. You know, it's like, what else is there that's more important than that?
Totally.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about you?
CitrinWellness.com, CITRIN, wellness. And then we're in Beverly Hills. We do telemedicine, and we work with another clinic that does prescriptions all over the country. So for my patients who are out of state, who need support, we do telemedicine also. But then for those patients, I can't do diagnostics because I'm not licensed in any other state other than California. But I work with a company who does, so they can still come to us and we can support them in their health journey. But then we refer them out for diagnostic labs, prescriptions, all that stuff.
Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Guy.
Yeah, thanks for